All right, hey, it's December 20th, bringing you a weekly Lake Ozarks fishing report. Um, well, we've been gone for a couple weeks, had some family stuff, and then we went on a little vacation, but we got back on the water yesterday, and water fishing's changed, and it's changed for the better. Before we left a couple weeks ago, man, it was pretty tough. It was hard. It was hard to put anything together. Fish were still scattered. You know, water temp was around 48 or 50. Yesterday, it was down 42 to 44 where we were fishing, and it's really got the fish locked into more of a solid winter pattern. We were mainly just targeting steeper banks, channel swings. We fished a little bit of main lake stuff, not a whole lot of main lake. It was more creek-oriented, major creeks. And when I say major creek, a creek that's maybe a mile long or even 8 miles long. You know, just a big major creek. Seems like a lot of shad are back in these creeks. A lot of shad out in the center of the creek still. For whatever reason, not a lot of stuff to the bank. Later towards the afternoon, it seemed like they were starting to move towards the banks a little bit. If the wind was pushing on that bank, that's usually what you'll see. We started out just targeting kind of some windy points, windy secondary points, the pockets, little pocket points. I've been hearing a lot of guys talking about, they've been catching a lot on stick bait. So I like throwing jigs, but I want to, switch it up a little bit and throw stick bait, see if I make sure I'm not missing nothing. So we started out, we were throwing just Vision 110, just this kind of a translucent, goldish, kind of yellow black back. Works real well this time of year, especially in that clear water. So we threw that quite a bit. I don't know, I think we caught probably 3 or 4 sharks, maybe 1 small keeper. Threw quite a bit, didn't get a whole lot of bites on that like I need to in order for me to keep throwing it, so we decided to go to the bottom, and the first thing I did was pick up swamp bug. This time of year, the swamp bug, that crappie swamp bug, really shines when that water gets down below 45. So I just rig it up on that 1/4 ounce crappie Shaky football head. It's got that wide gap hook, a needle sharp hook in it. It's a wide gap hook, so it allows this plastic to go somewhere when you set the hook. And then also that football head tends to keep that bait vertical like it needs to be. Keep all these legs moving. You can see just in my hand here how much them move. And that sitting still in the water just always really seems to get bites when the bite's tough. So I threw that. This is a green pumpkin red flake. I throw it on 12-pound fluorocarbon, and I throw it on this Falcon Cara Finesse jig rod with the Lew's Hyper Mag. If there's any time of the year where the rod and reel really make a big difference, I'm gonna say the winter time. This rig is so light, it really allows you to work these lighter baits, lighter line, and pick up these real faint bites. Because yesterday, I don't think I really felt any fish bite it. It was just a resistance or just kind of mushy feeling. I will say several of the fish, once we started fishing this, I caught several fish pretty quick. Probably three keepers, 2.5-pound keepers. I threw it for a while, and then I decided to switch up to the jig. And this time of year, I've got 2 different jig setups I use. This is the 1/2 ounce Zapper Ozark Crawl, and I rig it with the crappie swamp bug as a trailer. It's got that big tail that moves a lot. Like right now, it's still, the water temp's low. It was, like I said, in the low 40s, but it's early in the winter, and a lot of fish are still shallow. Most of the fish we caught yesterday were 6 foot of water and less. But I picked this jig up and I started flipping it towards the bank. some shallow brush, and I brought that thing through that brush and kind of popped it over and let it hit. And I thought I had a little mush bite, and I didn't set the hook, and then I kind of felt a little tug, so it was definitely a fish. But this time of year, these fish are still pretty aggressive early like this, before we get into a deep freeze and the water's been cold for a long time. Anyway, I flipped this jig back in there, lifted over a couple branches, and that thing got heavy. I set the hook, kind of halfway set the hook, anyway, it was a big fish. I had one. It was probably pushing 6, maybe a little better yesterday on this crappie, half-ounce zapper with that's just a green pumpkin, red flake, swamp bug. So that boy, that got me going. The jig bite like that early, that or shallow, and it was probably 4 foot of water, and the brush was kind of sticking out of the water a little bit. So that's how shallow that fish was yesterday. And like I said, most of the fish we caught were shallow yesterday. So yesterday I had that one big fish, and then I think we had 4 other keepers that were probably 2.5 to 2 3/4, and then a couple keeper Kentuckies, probably them, I don't know, almost pushing 2-pound Kentuckies. And then we probably had 6 or 8, maybe 8 or 10 short fish too. So all in all, I'd say it was a pretty good day, especially compared to what it's been like, And we were only out for about 4.5 hours yesterday. So basically, the fishing's getting a lot better. It's going to get better in the wintertime because, like I said, these fish are really bunching up. They're all kind of relating to the same stuff. So it's just going to push them all together. And when they all get together, they get a little more competitive, a little more aggressive, towards your baits because there's a little more competition, amongst the fish. So, right now, if you're coming down, I'm gonna pick up one of these swamp bugs. I pretty much throw the moss candy. I like a lot. I switched it yesterday. A little bit later, I started throwing this, and I caught a few fish on it too. Or the green pumpkin red flake moss swamp bug, or the 2 jig styles. The one, the half-ounce with the swamp bug on it, or the old faithful crappie zapper jig, the 3/8 ounce. And you can see I've got this one spidered up, and I've cut the ring crawl down a little bit to make it a real small little finesse jig. As far as I'm concerned, there's no better finesse jig on the market right now. That this one's been around since the 80s, so that tells you, what kind of jig it is. It's been around for a long time. It's caught a lot of fish throughout the years, and that bait, real quick, I'll show you. Just your 3/8 ounce zapper. If you take the full jig just like this, the best way to do it is just split your strands of your skirt at the band. You can see how easy that is. Here's the bottom part. Here's the top part. Just turn that thing over and cut it off like that. And when you bring it back up, you're going to have a spider jig just like that. And that's your finesse jig bait. And like I said, I'll trim down that ring crawl just a little bit, and you can see how small of a bait that is. It's just a perfect winter bait. Gets a lot of bites. You'll catch everything from 14 inches to 6-pounders on that little jig. So as far as jigs, this is the best jig to throw in the wintertime and catch a lot of bites. It's got a wire hook, a wire mustad hook. It's really sharp. It's really forgiving if you don't feel that fish and you just kind of give it a pull, and he gives a little pull back, he's going to get hooked with that wire hook. Compared to like a flipping hook, it's a lot beefier, a lot bigger diameter. It may not penetrate as well as one of these. Something else on wintertime fishing, I'll take these weed guards, I'll spread them out a little bit, make them a little less, as far as not so much pressure to compress them, and then a lot of times I'll trim them off too a little bit, not so long. Just a little bit of a weed guard, so you get it's all fanned out. It compresses a little easier. It hooks up a little bit easier if you do that. So that's the 3/8 ounce jig with the ring crawl on the back of it, just like that. And like I said, these three setups, the swamp bugs and the small 3/8 ounce jig, those are all three, you can see, are all on the same setup. The Finesse jig rod, really light, the Hyper Mag loose reel, and the 12-pound fluorocarbon. And this is Berkeley 100% fluorocarbon. I really like it. I have no trouble with it. It's easy to find everywhere. It's, price range, it's about medium compared to some. That Tatsu line, that's extremely good line, very limp, really good in the wintertime. It is a little pricey, but it is a really good line. This other rig on the 1/2 ounce, I'll throw it on. This is a little bit stouter rod, just a little bit. This is the medium heavy Falcon Cara. You can see it's a little bigger rod, got the full cork, and you can see on the reel here, this is that Bass Pro qualifier that, for the money, like I said, it's a $100 reel. Great reel for this, and I've got it rigged up with 16-pound flipping line, and the flipping line is the line with it's got fluorescent like chartreuse, and then it's got clear, and it's about 4-foot intervals in it. So you can see I got the clear, my jigs died down here to the clear, but then as you get higher, you can see, I don't know if you can see on this camera, you can see that fluorescent line there. So it really helps you pick up bites when that line's just kind of laying in the water, and you tighten up that line and it moves one way or the other, or it gives a little tick, you'll pick it up really good with that line. I was throwing that, yesterday. I've been throwing it quite a bit. Especially when the bite's kind of light and you're really watching your line, it'll really help you pick up your line with that color on there like that. So it's a pretty neat line. I started using that earlier this year, and it's been real good for me. So might be something you want to look into is that line. I'm trying to miss right now who actually makes that line, but I believe it is let's see, I just can't think of it right now. Anyways, you can look at it in the store or ask, if you go to any of the Fitzes and ask some guy, they're going to know what you're talking about. So that's my jig rods, my bottom bait rods. The stick baits, like I said, we started with that more shad color. Wasn't getting the bites we thought we should have, and so I switched up. I probably should have switched a little earlier. It was cloudy yesterday, and anytime it's cloudy or overcast, you want to try to maybe switch it up. And this is the Vision 110 with the purple back. You see the goldish color sides with that chartreuse bottom, and that chartreuse will really get some bites. What I switched yesterday, and I started getting, it seemed like, more bites. I sat on one brush pile, and I think I caught 4 or 5 fish out of one brush pile. Might have been 4 consecutive casts. Most of them were shorts. I think I caught one pretty nice Kentucky out of there, and then 4 shorts. But they were a little more aggressive. It was right before we went in, so I don't know if I would have been throwing that a little more throughout the day. Probably would have got more bites on it. But either way, man, the fishing's getting a lot better. It's pretty consistent. I'm gonna go tomorrow again with a friend, and I expect to do really good. It's right before this real cold snap. Like I said, the water temp throughout the whole lake's probably between 40 to 46, depending on where you're at. That lower end's probably still a little bit warmer. Mid lakes in the low 40s, and upper lakes or upper river arms, it's going to be, it might be in the low or upper 30s by now. And after these next few days here, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I think it's supposed to be, in the negatives. The high's only going to be single digit. That water temp's really going to plummet. So if you're fishing right after that, next week the temps shoot right back. We're up in, I think, 48, 50 by midweek. So that little cold snap, it's not really going to do a whole lot to these fish. It might pull them, like some of these are really shallow. It might back them off and they'll suspend it a little bit, for a couple days. But then they're going to move right back up and they're going to start feeding again. They're still feeding up pretty good for when we get into real deep freeze. So, your stick baits, of course, your Alabama rigs. I'll be honest, I didn't throw it yesterday. But the Alabama rig, it's obviously producing already. This is that cellular brand, real good brand. It's got some good blades on it. Or the good little little leaves that continue turn real good, makes a lot of flash. Got some good arms, some real good clasp for your hooks there. You won't straighten them out. Like I said before, I use the Crappie swim bait jig head, the wire hook one. There's two of them. The wire hook ones is what I like. If you get hung up, you just pull it straight and it'll straighten that out. Throwing it on a 50-pound braid on a real heavy old an old Falcon Expert rod. This is a 7'2" heavy action. This is that Lou's Orange Crush, like I said, with 50-pound braid on it. It's just just a good rig for the Alabama rig. Throwing the Alabama rig, like right now, I would just throw it on a stick, kind of the steeper bank still, but throw it alongside docks. Try to maybe get over the top of some brush piles, that are laid out there for crappie or bass. But you get it right over the top. A lot of these fish are suspended up high above these brush piles or underneath these swim platforms, and they'll come out and they'll hit these Alabama rigs. Unless, of course, where some brush piles are, then just throw that thing over the top of brush piles. If you've got the live scope, you can watch your bait come over that brush. You can see if the fish are active, if they're going to come up and feed it, or come up and hit it. If you got to slow it down, speed it up, bring it over top, let it fall, whatever. A live scope will definitely help you figure out what these fish want in an action wise, whether it be Alabama rig or stick bait if you want to let it sink down to it and then work it over the top of it. The live scope will really kind of key in on color and action a lot. You can change colors and see fish react to it a lot better, or speed it up, slow it down, let it sit there, and kind of see what the fish want. Let them tell you. And now with the live scope, ever since Garmin's come out with that, it's really helped you locate fish, obviously, but it has really helped key you in on what the fish are doing, what kind of mood they're in, and what it takes to get them to react to any particular bait. So you can really focus on that and watch your bait on the live scope and see how they're reacting to it. And you can sit there with 3 rods, 3 different stick baits, maybe a couple of Alabama rigs with different swim baits on it, and throw each one over the same brush pile where there's some fish and see which one is going to make these fish react. And then once you figure that out or see, then you can kind of stick with that one bait. So, on these Alabama rigs, I found that these crankbait, I don't know what they call them, little wraps, the ones with the clear on it, and the Velcro. This is I believe it's Daiwa brand. Works really good, to put on these Alabama rigs to keep them things from getting tangled up and everything. You see how that goes on there real good. I can still see what bait's in there, which ones I'm running. It's a neat deal. It keeps it from getting tangled up on everything. If you set that down on the front deck without that on there, it's hooked on everything on the boat. So, man, other than that, the crappie is just excellent. We're throwing the same old Kitech. This is that Kitech Easy Shiner, a little 3-inch. There's several different covers. We go through all the different colors. Probably the best one is this electric shad. It's kind of a natural, got a little purple tint. Looks just like a shad. Or sometimes I'll switch it up and go to this chartreuse blue. It's actually called blue chartreuse, electric blue chartreuse. So either one of them two colors, and I rig it on the 1/8 ounce or 16th ounce. One of these little jig heads. Friend of ours poured these for us. Actually, Alfred Chapman, another guy down here. It's a real nice sickle hook on there with the coil keeper on there. These soft baits, all these Kitex are so soft, or even the Bobby Garland. If you don't have one with the coil keeper, you're kind of wasting your time out there. You're going to spend more time fiddling with your bait or trying to reset it on there than if you screw it on here. It holds that bait on there. You get several fish out of it. So those are key when you're crappie fishing. If we're shooting docks, we're just shooting the same old Bobby Garland. This is the original baby shad. This is blue ice color. The electric chicken's good. There's several colors, or maybe if you get in some dirty water, the chartreuse. You just kind of switch that up. That's when you're shooting docks. Shooting underneath these swim platforms. The amount of crappie that are schooled up right now, just inside the creeks or just inside the coves, are just, it's incredible how many crappie are piled up. You can sit on one school and catch a limit pretty quick right now. Isolated brush piles, really good. Some of the bigger fish are maybe, 15, 18 foot down over some of these bigger brush piles, and you can run that little easy shiner right past them and see them fish come out and grab it. And it's just a lot of fun. You can catch a lot of fish, or a lot of crappie right now. This has got to be prime time right now. Right now, it'll go for another couple months. It'll slow a little bit, and then once we get into spring, it'll get good again. But right now, crappie, I don't think gets any better than right now. So you can come down, fill your freezer full of crappie right now. I don't know. Let's see. The other. I forget what I would tell you here. You still catch them on a crankbait, on like the rock crawler or wiggle wart. You're going to really have to slow it down. Use maybe the deeper one, where you can crank it down and let it start hitting. It's going to start hitting about 7 to 8 foot, and then as it hits, just kind of stop it and hold your rod like you would Carolina rig almost, and kind of pull it along where it's bumping, and then stop it, and then reel back up, and then pull it again, and just really pay attention to that wobble and the wiggle of it, because a lot of times you'll feel it, and then it just kind of goes numb on you, and that's when a fish has picked it up, and they'll just kind of swim up behind it, grab it, and swim along with it. So if you feel that quit moving or wiggling, give it a little hook to see if there's a little swipe or a hook set to see if that fish has grabbed it. So, and definitely right now there's still plenty aggressive to hit a crankbait. So something else if you want to come down and try that. Let's see, the water level, I don't think I said, it's 657.9. We'll just call it 658. So it's right at 2 foot low, 2 foot below winter pool. They'll probably leave it there for a little while. They haven't been pulling any water, any current. I would imagine though this weekend, with the demand that's going to be called for with all this cold weather, I imagine they'll pull a little bit of water this weekend. I would expect them to. Excuse me, just a little bit. That may or may not affect a whole lot of the fish, if they pull it for a day or two. I don't know. In the wintertime, I'm not so sure about that, how much it moves them that quick when they're this lethargic. But like I said, most of the fish, if you're coming down, just go just inside the creeks, major creeks, or go midway in the creeks and try to hit them secondary points. Like I said, stick baits, jigs, your Alabama rig or crankbait. That's really all you need right now. I'm probably going to throw a bottom bait 80% of the time. That's just, what I have the most confidence in. in when I'm going to have to fish slow, that's what I'm going to throw. If it's windy, breezy, and I can't feel my baits, I'm going to throw the stick bait. You know, when it's breezy, windy, they're more likely to suspend and bite the stick bait anyways. So, you know, you just kind of got to play with the colors a little bit, play with your cadence a little bit, your speed, you know, your how much time you let in between your twitches. You just kind of really got to play with that stick bait a lot until you find the right key, speed, color, the whole deal. And once you get that dialed in, then you can just run with it. So, you know, that's about it. That's about it. Right now, or something else I'll tell you, something I really do a lot here, I've got several of them rigged up, is I'll pre-rig my jig and my trailers right now. So, you know, it's cold. If you break one off and you're out there with your fingers and you're trying to keep your fingers warm, and you're out there and you're trying to fiddle with the stuff, it's just, you're going to get your fingers cold, might get a little aggravated. So just rig a few up, put them in a bag, so when you break one off, all you got to do is tie it back on. Same thing with your swamp bugs. You know, I'll pre-rig a few of them, and I'll put them in the bag. I already got the head on them. They're set up, they're ready to go. All I got to do is retie them and go right back to fishing. Just, like I said, rig them up, put them in the bag, put them in the pockets, you know. And, you know, right now when I'm fishing, I've got a couple bags of jigs, a couple bags of swamp bugs. I got them in my pockets. I don't have to get in and out of my rod boxes, my tackle. I'm just fishing. So, you know, that's key for me. It's just time management and just trying to spend more time fishing instead of rigging out in a lake or out in a boat when your fingers are cold. You know, man, that's all I can about I have for you, really. You know, gloves and stuff. Get yourself some good gloves and make sure you're comfortable out there. You know, I got these gloves here. These are these AFCOs. These are incredible. I call these my running gloves. You see, they got the Velcro. They're just phenomenal gloves as far as keeping your fingers warm and dry. You know, if you're running and it's cold, you know, these will keep them dry. It's got the deal for your when your grafts get water on it or fogged up, it's almost like a windshield wiper. You just bring it down it and clear your grafts off real good. It's got the touch finger, so you can like on your touch screens, it'll still work with your gloves on. You know, they're just really good. I run with these gloves on. When I get to where I'm going, I take them off, and then I'll pick up a lighter pair. You can see I probably got about a half a dozen different pairs. You know, kind of medium size to real light. You know, these here where I can still feel my line, cast easy, whatever. So I'm going to throw a different pair of gloves when I'm fishing. So, you know, I'll keep several pairs in case one gets wet. If it's misty, rainy, snowy, whatever, I keep them. I've got my AFCO gear, my winter gear, you know, hoodies on, my Reaper hoodies, you know, so you can pull that up over your face, put the hood on it, and put your winter gear on it. You're gonna be plenty warm. That's obviously that is key right now. If you're not comfortable, it's no fun. It's not gonna be fun. You're not gonna be able to concentrate on what you're doing. You know, right now the bite's so light and so subtle. You really got to stay focused. You really got to pay attention. And if your mind's somewhere else, you're probably not going to catch fish. So, you know, just be careful out there. It's cold. You don't want to fall out. Wear your life jacket, especially if you're out there by yourself. Wear your life jacket all day. Just leave it on. You know, like I said last time, if you do fall in and you got a ladder and somebody's with you, you know, try to get back in the boat. Keep a spare set of clothes in your boat. I don't care if it's just a pair of heavy sweatpants and a heavy coat or even a blanket. Once you're wet and you get back in the water, you're going to need to cover up and stay warm. You know, you got to get rid of them wet clothes as fast as you can and get dry, warm stuff on you. If you are by yourself and you fall in, try not to panic. like I said, with all the clothes, trying to get back in the boat by yourself is next to impossible. The better thought maybe go straight to the bank. Get to the bank so you can at least get out of that water, and hopefully somebody's around, can hear you, or you can walk up to a house or something. So that's my thought on falling in. Don't exert a lot of energy if you do fall in trying to get back in the boat, because you honestly, you've got just a few minutes before you're not going to be able to swim. So just keep that in mind. Try to have a preset something in your mind. If something does happen, what you're going to do so you don't panic when that happens. So hopefully it don't happen to anybody, but if it does, I hope you get out safe. So other than that, the other thing, like I said, I went over with crappie, but in the wintertime, hair jigs will work really, really good if you're vertical fishing. These are some my dad made for me a while back. I've never used them. I'm probably going to use them now. But these are real good. They just stay full, and they move a lot. And they just look really good in the water. This is some bucktail from a deer, and you can see he got it tied on there real nice. But when you're vertically jigging over the top of brush pile, you just let that go down, just kind of keep it vertical, move it a little bit, and that hair jig looks really good. So if you're vertical jigging, you might look up, try to get you some hair jigs. I'm not real sure where you can get them right now. Probably just look up online. Some of your good tackle stores, they'll have them. But other than that, Real Magic, I keep Real Magic real handy right now. I keep my line sprayed with it, keep my eyes sprayed with it, my reels sprayed with it. It'll help things from freezing up so much. Sometimes you just can't help it, but this will definitely keep your line from freezing so much, especially down in the spool. So might get some of that for wintertime fishing. That's about it. So there's not a lot of traffic on the lake right now, so all you're going to see is fishermen out there. It's a perfect time to come down and enjoy this lake. Like I said, the next couple of days, tomorrow's okay, we're going to fish tomorrow, but Thursday and Friday, nowhere near that water. It's going to be single digits. But then next week, like I said, it's going to warm back up. We're going to have these days, a few days throughout the winter, that's going to be nice. So if Denise or I can help you, with guiding, showing you winter fishing, showing you winter jig fishing, stick bait, Alabama rig, whatever it is, what to look at, now's a good time to even kind of dial in and get used to your graphs. It's a great time, just idle around, look at them, run through your graphs and learn them really good. Wintertime's perfect for that, So just to be out there is a good time in the wintertime. So if either one of us can help you throughout the winter, we run trips all through the winter. Like I said, crappie's great right now. Bass is good. We'll go out, we'll catch fish, and it'll be a good time. So it's kind of hard to plan dates because we don't know what the weather's going to do. But give us a call. We can set up a date, or maybe like a 2-3 day window, and we'll watch the weather and we'll go out and make the best of it. So like I said, if either one of us can help you with fishing and guide trip down here, please give us a call. Get a hold of me at 573-204-9005, or you can get a hold of Denise at 314-226-3099, and give us a call. We'll talk about it, and we'll get out and fish. So until next time, I'll keep you up to date throughout the winter, what's going on, But until then, be safe, enjoy some fishing. We'll see you.